Okay.
Awesome. Well, hello. Good morning, everyone. My name is Debbie Jean-Jacques. Welcome to another iLearn Saturday. Today is June 21st, and it is approximately 11:06. We have Cassange with us, who's basically going to focus on using technology for monitoring and evaluation tools and platforms for nonprofits. Cassange, the stage is yours. I'm gonna mute myself and put my video off.
All right. Thank you, Debbie, and good morning, everyone. This is Cassange speaking. If you took part of iLearn Saturday already for monitoring and evaluation, you probably know my name and a little bit about me, but for new participant, I would say that my name is Cassange Bitere, originally from Haiti. I am a development practitioner. I do monitoring and evaluation for most of my professional experience, I would say. I have a graduate degree in development practice and concentration in global health and well-being, and also monitoring and evaluation. I've worked with organizations in Haiti, such as the AIDS Healthcare Foundation, and I've done monitoring and evaluation for them, and I was a project coordinator there. And when I moved to the US for my studies, I started working with Care International as a monitoring and evaluation, not a monitoring and evaluation officer, but most of the work that I've done, they are related to monitoring and evaluation as well. And I've done some research. And currently I'm working as a senior consultant with like a very small consulting firm managed by Joanna Inman in the US. So basically, that's what I do. And today we're going to discuss using technology for monitoring and evaluation, tools and platform for nonprofits. So basically, I'm not an expert in all of the tools that we're going to discuss today, but these are the tools that mostly I've used or I've seen colleagues or my organization use as well. So I just wanted to kind of like put them here and just talk a little bit about them as well. And for our agenda today, we do have a few objectives for this session, and I'm going to introduce like the tech tools for monitoring and evaluation. I'm going to go over some common data collection tools and platforms, and also tools to prepare like for data analysis and the different tools for quantitative and qualitative data analysis. And for the final one, we're going to see what tool we can use for reporting and visualization as well. And as objectives for the session, I'm hoping that everybody will learn about key technology tools used in monitoring and evaluation. And I'm hoping that they also will understand when and how to use each of these tools, and also will explore how technology is improving data quality and reporting as well. And as a few tools, these are like, I only mentioned 10 of them, but there are more than that. And the ones that I've mentioned here is because I've seen them or heard about them in my field, actually. I don't necessarily know about all of them, but I think the first five ones, or until maybe the seven, I would say I've actually seen them or used them myself. So I'm going to kind of like focus this presentation on them. But just to kind of like give more information about the tools that I just mentioned earlier, um, I there are like of various I would say like different tools that we can use, but the key is to kind of like choose one that fits your context, the context of your evaluation, the context of your organization as well, I would say. For example, if you're conducting like a survey in remote areas or also rural areas with like limited access to internet connection, I think there are like specific tools that you can use, and those tools can be like Kobo Toolbox, Solstice that I've used myself, or ODK. They are more appropriate because they also have mobile app that you can use offline to collect data. And if your team also or your organization is using Microsoft 365, you can also use Microsoft Forms. That might be like a very convenient option for kind of like quick feedback for data collection. In Not quick feedback for data collection, but for example, if you had a session about like a specific topic and you want to have the feedback from the participants, you can actually use Microsoft Forms, but it's mostly used internally because not everybody has access to Microsoft Forms or Microsoft 365. And other options are like Comcare, which is very good for health programs and where you need kind of like to track patients over time. And also, I think there's Survey CTO that is really that I think people really use it when they are doing randomized control trial, and also they are using like very sensitive data. And yeah, basically depending on like the nature of your project, like if it is like maybe a health program or a one-time training evaluation or a long-term research study, there are like different type of tools that you can use that kind of meet your needs. And here I wanted to highlight the tools that I've mostly seen or used myself. And in all my experience, like working in the field for like seven years, I've honestly used Google Form myself. I've used Solsys, I've used SurveyMonkey, and now I'm using Qualtrics. I've also used Kobo Toolbox just to like do some survey, but I haven't really used it from the back end. So I don't really know how it works in the back end. And for ODK, I've seen it as well in my work, but I haven't really used it. But I'm going to just kind of like talk about them because they are most likely used in the field of nonprofit because they are much more easy to use. And first off is the Google Form. Google Form is like one of the easiest tools that you can use for quick data collection. It is kind of really great for things like pre and post training surveys. I would also say maybe for internal check-ins or sample polls as well. And one of the major advantage it has is that the responses are like automatically stored in like a Google Sheet, and which make it easy to do some analysis if you're using Google Workspace. Also, it is a very free tool, very simple, and requires no technical setup. And the limitation I'd say it has are like it doesn't really have enough skip logic or it doesn't offer enough fine functionality as well. That would be the limitation of the Google form. So I would say like it is a really great choice for kind of like very simple or straightforward surveys. Especially if you have like stable internet connection, you can really use Google Form for something that is very quick and very rapid. But it's not really ideal for field work or complex studies. And for the second part, we have the Kobo Toolbox, which is kind of like a platform that many NGOs, and I've seen like UN agencies, they use that platform as well for research. But you know, many NGOs that are working in places with limited resources or limited internet access, they use Kobo Toolbox because with the Kobo Collect app, I think it works offline, so you can actually collect data when you go to rural areas or remote areas. And also it is free, it's mobile friendly, and you can actually I think you can actually have like real-time update when you're using Kobo Toolbox. So as long as the data is being collected, you can actually have that information in real time. And one thing that is really good about it is that you can set up like surveys with like skip logic, required questions, and even like support like multiple language. But the caveat with that is that you really need before you disseminate this survey in other languages. If it's not in English, if you like, for example, need to disseminate the survey in French or Haitian Creole, you really need to. I mean, I don't think it offers Haitian Creole, but you can actually translate the survey from scratch to the Haitian Creole version and insert it in the Toolbox application software. But I think you can actually select like French or Spanish and it can translate automatically the questions for you. But I would actually suggest that you check the question for quality and to see that if the translation keeps the context of your question as well. Because as long as it offers that opportunity, but the caveat is like sometimes the translation are not that great. It lacks the context of your like the survey purpose actually. And the ODK, as I said, I haven't really used ODK myself, but I've seen it a lot. It is like a really strong option if you kind of like dealing with a long or detailed survey, like when you're doing health screenings or you're evaluating like a health facilities to see how they're like operating, if they are following the protocols and stuff like that, people really use ODK for that. I've seen that in Haiti, in my previous work in Haiti. And also it kind of like can handle complex survey logic, and it also supports things like barcode scanning, like you can generate a barcode and you can scan it and have access to the survey. It can track GPS information and even capture pictures, because sometimes you would need to kind of like have obtain informed consent from the participant before you start collecting data from them. So when you're using ODK, you actually give the informed consent document to that participant. They read it, you discuss what is in the informed consent, the person signs the informed consent. You actually can take a picture with the ODK app on your phone and put it in the survey, so people can actually track that the person has consented to give information about the project or the program or the survey exactly. So it helps to do that. And one other great thing about ODK is that I think it's kind of like it's built to work well with like repeated data collection. What I mean by that is like if you are going back to the same site for data collection multiple times, or there's like a person that you need to interview multiple times over the course of the project, it helps you build the data for that information. So you can actually track the changes or measure anything that you need to measure over time. And as limitation, it does take a bit of setup. You kind of like need a server like ODK Central, and someone on your team might need to kind of like have a bit of technical knowledge to get it done. But once it's kind of like up and running, it's very reliable and flexible to use. And next we have Qualtrics. I have recently started to use Qualtrics actually. I would say it is a very powerful tool, especially if you're working on like detailed survey research. We are currently doing a research in the Virgin Islands, and this is the tool that we're using to collect the data that we need. Um, like it lets you kind of like build your survey using some skip logic. It has like great option for skip logic and required questions as well. It also works with like multimedia and has an offline app if you kind of need to collect data in the field, like where internet access is very limited as well. And one of the things people like about Qualtrics is that it kind of gives you a real-time dashboard and analytics, which are really useful for tracking responses and as they are coming in. And also, I would say that it's a really good tool to do academic research as well, and also large evaluation studies for, like, let's say you're doing a study in multiple countries, you can actually use Qualtrics for that as well. And the data from Qualtrics, you can actually import them to other tools for that analysis, such as R programming, SPSS, or SAS as well. You can actually transfer all this to from Qualtrics to R or SAS. And for the next one, this is Solstice. I really love Solstice. I remember the last time I used it was actually a year ago, and I was doing an evaluation study in Cote d'Ivoire, and it was really helpful. You can actually create your own dashboard. You can track information on time, and as the data is coming in, you can actually see the preliminary results. You can create your own indicators to see what's happening with specific data and stuff like that. So I really love using Solstice. So it is a really great one when you actually need to collect data in the field where access to internet is limited. And also, it kind of like allows you to collect GPS information, especially if you need to collect data about like the location of your study and stuff like that. It collects that, it helps you to collect that information. And as ODK, it allows you to take pictures, and also it's a really great tool for interviews as well. You might have question, you ask the question and you record the person answering the question as well. So Solstice allows you to do like, I would say, interview directly and have the data available within the tool. Um, one other thing I can tell about Solstice in terms of limitation, it's like compared to Kobo Toolbox, it doesn't really have enough customization. That would be one of its limitation. It needs a little bit of training, but it's not like heavy because it's pretty easy to use as well. As long as you are able to kind of like use Kobo Toolbox or even Google Form or Microsoft Forms, you would be able to kind of use Solstice as well in terms of like creating the surveys. But in terms of creating the indicators and the dashboard, you might need more training than that. And SurveyMonkey is one of those tools that's as such like Google Forms. It's really easy to use, and especially when you need to kind of like have quick feedback about like a training that you've done or you're doing like a very short evaluation, you can actually use SurveyMonkey. It also has like ready to use templates, and you don't really need to do much work. You can just like have that template available to you, and you can just maybe like modify a few questions to tailor them to your need and stuff like that. And also it is a super friendly interface as well. So you don't really need much time to set it up. You can also add logic, choose different type of question, and kind of like see basic results in real time as well. It's great for kind of like you if you wanna send a quick survey to your program staff to ask them question about a specific intervention and stuff like that, and even to your other stakeholders part of the program as well. You can use SurveyMonkey to do that. And it also has tools like Excel and Google Sheets. Like when you have the information entered on on SurveyMonkey, you can actually have the result in an Excel spreadsheet or Google spreadsheet as well. And but just keep in mind that it doesn't really work offline. And if you want more advanced features, you also need to pay for that. So that's like the limitation of it. But it's a really great tool for kind of like very simple monitoring, but maybe not the best choice if you want to do something that is more complex. Oh, so like now that we've discussed all the tools that are available to collect the data, so the question is, what do we do with that data after that? Because these digital tools, they do offer you option to collect different type of data and stuff, but what you do with the data after that is what will give them sense, I would say, and that what you do is what going to kind of like help you to answer questions such as what is the performance of the program? What is the data telling me? What about the performance of what are my impacts? What are my outcomes and stuff like that? So there are other tools you can actually use to do that. And before I go over these tools, there are like a few steps for you to prepare. I mean, to prepare the data and use other tools to make the analysis. And these steps are you need to conduct data quality check. So what I mean by that is that you go to your raw data from the tools that you are using to collect them. Um, you will review the data and you review the data that is available and see if it was collected properly and the way it was intended to be collected. If like some data is missing, you might actually either follow up with the respondents or the participants, or you can actually follow up with the person who also collected the data for more clarification. And the second step would be after quality check, you can export your data to like an Excel spreadsheet to clean and organize your data and have them ready for analysis as well. And the third one would be depending on like if the data you have, let's say that the data is like a quantitative data, there are like some analysis you can actually do on Excel directly. For example, if you want to do like descriptive statistics, you want to know the mean, the frequency and the counts, you can actually use Excel to kind of like have a summary of the data. But if you do have a qualitative data, you can either use Microsoft Word for some coding, like using the comment section, but it's like very simple analysis, not something that is more complex. and they are pretty like the Excel version when you're using it for descriptive analysis and descriptive statistics and stuff like that. They are pretty easy and user friendly. However, when you need to go like deeper, there are other tools that are available. For example, if you need to do some regression analysis, there the tools that you can use to do that are our programming. They are not the only tools, but they are the ones that I've used in the past, so I can kind of like briefly talk about them. And these are our programming and also SAS. But for qualitative data analysis, I've used MaxQDA and Deduce as well. So I just wanted to discuss about Excel here because Excel is still a great tool for some data analysis. And especially if you need when you need to clean your data and make sure that it's available for deeper analysis as well, you can use Excel to do that. And you can actually um, export the data you've collected from whatever tools you collected them to an Excel spreadsheet to kind of like do the review and the cleaning as well. And when you're using Excel, you have the opportunity to kind of like remove like duplicate data and kind of like fixing formatting as well, and kind of generate like a quick summary or visualization using like some pie charts, line charts, and stuff like that. Excel helps you to do that very quickly. And you can even do some like cross tabulation using pivot tables. And what other things can I say about it? So in terms of like limitation, it's not really ideal for very large data sets and for very advanced statistics, as I said earlier. Like if you need to do regression analysis, Excel is not really a good tool to do the regression analysis. So I would say that it works very good at the very early stage if you just need to do like a summary of your findings. But for deeper analysis, you should actually go to like, for example, R programming, which is a very powerful and kind of like a free tool as well. That thing I call it a tool, but in the field for people who are really into quantitative data analysis, they mention it as a language. So R is like a language that you're going to use to do some coding and do some deeper analysis, especially when kind of like Excel can really help you to do like the more complex analysis. So R is really great for to analyze large data sets and kind of testing relationships or trends, like comparing survey results from a specific region to another one, or even tracking like changes over time or running some regressions, as I said earlier. Um, it also, I think you can use R to create complex or customized graph and even interactive dashboard as well. But this requires a lot of training and a lot of skills to do. Even personally, I cannot really do that with interactive dashboard on R, even though I've used R in the past. And I would also say one of the big benefits of R is that kind of like every step of your analysis is saved in a code. So it's really kind of like transparent and easy to be reused later. But there's like the other biggest limitation is that you really need a lot of training to understand how to use R. It's not like a software or a tool you can just go to and just use it like that. You really need a lot of training. YouTube has a lot of great videos about introduction to our videos. So you can actually go on YouTube and try to understand it better. But there are like other books available. There are other resources available online you can actually use to kind of understand how to use R. But it requires a lot of training and a lot of practice in order to be able to kind of use it very easily. And there is SAS as well. I've used SAS myself. It's not my favorite one to use. I think it's really, really complex. But because I'm in the field of global health, I've done a lot of work in public health and I've worked with sometimes government as well. We've used SAS for some deeper analysis of complex data and stuff like that. And it's really, I mean, public health organizations and government really use it for that. And they do have a license for SAS actually. Um, One of the things that they use it for the most is when they are like doing multi-year program results for donors. or when they are also doing census studies as well, they use SAS to do that. And like, I think the limitation for SAS is like the fact that it's really, really expensive and you need a license for it. So one individual cannot really, I mean, if you're paying for SaaS, it's good. You have the money for that, you can still do it. But most of the time, it's an organization that buys the license and gives you like a key password, I would say, to have access to it, and then you can actually start using SaaS. And I think there is Starter as well. I haven't used Starter myself, but I know it's pretty common in the field that that has the same kind of like requirements. And for the qualitative tools, I only talk about DDoS and MaxQDA because these are the ones that I've used, but I know there's NVivo that is pretty common as well in the field. But both are very good for qualitative and mixed method research or evaluation studies or analysis, I would say. But I think they might serve a slightly different needs sometimes. For example, DDoS is a very web-based software. So it's like especially useful if your team is working remotely. Like if, for example, I've been working on using Didos with someone who is based in Pittsburgh. So we are able to kind of like code the same transcript together, seeing each other's code and stuff like that, which MaxQDA doesn't really offer because it is like you need to kind of install MaxQDA on your computer and it doesn't really work remote. Like you cannot work with a team on MaxQB. Everybody is doing their own coding and then they come together to do the intercoder reliability, which is very different in DDoS. But the other thing with DDoS is that you really need a really high internet connection or more like a reliable internet connection because it's a web-based software or tool. MaxQDA, the fact that you have to install the software on your computer, it doesn't really need internet connection to work. Another thing, I think MaxQDA, it offers you like the word clouds, the word map and stuff like that, the code map and stuff like that. I don't think Didos really does a good job with that. One thing I appreciate in Didos is like the fact that you can actually know where there's like cross-reference in between the codes. I'm not sure if MaxQDA offers this, but as I said earlier, they both have like they're up and down, I would say. And it depends on like what you're looking for, the team you're working with, and then you can decide which one to use and which one would be the best option for you. So this part is mostly for data visualization. So you've used different tools to collect the data. You've used different tools to do the data analysis. But how are you going to present the data? How are you going to kind of like you've done the interpretation as well, but how are you going to share this information or disseminate this information to make sure that people, the donor, all your stakeholders understand the data? So people in the field usually use Power BI, which you can use with Excel as well. As long as you have your data in Excel, you can put it on Power BI and then you create your dashboard. The dashboard is very interactive. You can have like different filters by age, by region. It depends on the information that you had in the variables that you had in your data set. You can set it up like that. As you can see here, we have like more green states, least green states and stuff like that. These are like certain filters. You can have like the fuel one, the year. You can actually select all that. This is an interactive image. Unfortunately, I cannot really show you. But like for example, you can actually click on fuel and maybe you can select which state you want to see and stuff like that. This will give you the information. When you select something here, you will see that all the information here will change by year, by total and stuff like that. So these are all the information that the Power BI visualization tool can give you. And to make it more simple, and if you don't really need to kind of like share information with like a larger public or larger audiences, you can actually use Excel. We do that a lot internally when we do the data analysis. We just like do some pivot table, and then we create a dashboard on Excel using slicers and filters as well. We can still categorize them by age, by gender, by region, and stuff like that, and make something very simple. But mostly when we're doing it internally, or we don't need, or when we don't really need kind of like to share the information with the larger audience, we use Excel for that. And I think my next slide is mostly about resources. I've collected all the website for the tools I've discussed for data collection and the tools I discussed for quantitative data analysis and qualitative data analysis, and the tools for data visualization as well. So this information will be shared with you later on. I'm going to kind of like share the PowerPoint with Debbie, who will send it over to all the participants so they can access the websites and have more information about these tools. And I also put my information here, my email address and my LinkedIn information. If someone wants to reach out, feel free to reach out to me. And thank you for your participation. Debbie, over to you.
Thank you, Cassange. I would add two other tools that I noticed that was not part of your presentation is Typeform and Quick Tab Survey. I believe Quick Tab Survey is still active. So they are similar to the Kobo Tools box, where they also work like if you don't have Wi-Fi where you are. Basically, you could use that, and then you can input the language that you want to work with, and obviously like plug in the language because they do not have Haitian Creole, unfortunately. And then with Typeform, they also have the language aspect of things, but how they work, in my understanding, is it's based off your browser or your phone, whatever technology that you're using is based on your settings. So if your setting is set on a language, it gives it to you in that language. And obviously, if you, as the I guess the owner of the survey, just make sure that you incorporate languages that you believe that some participants will be speaking. That way they can take the survey in French or in Creole, or actually they don't have Haitian Creole, excuse me, in French, Spanish, Portuguese,
Spanish. Yeah.
and other languages. Unfortunately, with the Haitian Creole, AI is not hasn't gotten to a point where they can automatically translate documents to Haitian
Mhm.
Creoles where it gives it to you correctly. So it's a matter of you as the owner of the survey, you need to understand that unfortunately, a lot of devices out there does not give the user the option to have Haitian Creole as their output language.
Yeah, unfortunately. But I think in terms of translation, like yesterday, I've tried something. I wanted to translate something in Haitian Creole, and I put it from French to, I mean, from English on ChatGPT and asked ChatGPT to translate it in Haitian Creole. But I've put a prompt like translate it in the very, very basic Haitian Creole. Like when you go anywhere, you mention certain words that everybody would understand. I put the prompt like that on ChatGPT. It actually gives me the proper translation though, and I was shocked to see that.
I last time I did my prompt is give it to me in spoken Haitian Creole. And I had
Mhm.
to, it didn't give it to me exact, but it gave it to me where I basically changed one word. So I think it's a matter of
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
when you do give ChatGPT or any AI modules that you're using the prompt to give it to you in Haitian Creole, you need to
Mhm.
also go back and review to make sure that it gives
Yeah,
it
you
to you
have to view it
correctly.
anyway. Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah,
Just like if you were to ask it to give it to you in French, spoken French,
yeah,
because sometimes, you can tell it's a Google Translate or it's an AI Translate.
yeah, exactly. Like the French version that I currently have to translate for our current research, when I saw it, they sent it to me for review. They were like, "Oh, we translated it in French, but we just need you to review it." But I was reading and I was like, "That's too proper for the population we are trying to collect data from." So I was like, "I don't think we can disseminate that version. We need to translate it to like a more basic French because when you're doing survey
Mhm.
with population that you don't really know their like education level and stuff like that." The questions have to be designed in a way that a fourth grade would understand.
Exactly.
So I had to. Not I had to. I have to do it today, actually. I have to go back to all these questions and try to translate it. I'm still going to kind of like use ChatGPT to do it, but after I get the translation from ChatGPT, I still need to review all that to make sure that I'm like, it keeps the context and it keeps it like very basic as well, things like that.
I
Yeah.
would say with also collecting these data, to also understand the target audience. Like if the individual, let's say perfect example, they want to collect the data in Haiti, you'll need a physical team to actually go on the ground to collect the data,
Yeah,
because the
exactly.
unfortunate thing is not many people will want to participate, and many
Mhm.
people will need translation if it's obviously in English or if it's in French, they'll need someone. So you'll need to partner with someone on the ground, preferably some
Mhm.
students to volunteer their time. And I
Mhm.
always recommend to like put in like a small little stipend. I always believe in like, paying people,
Yeah,
even
yeah,
if you don't pay them their worth, at least have a stipend
yeah.
in this process. That way it motivates them more to be on the
Mhm.
ground, to go on the ground and collect the data. Because my experience was when I was doing my research on the informer sector, I had a team of three. Like they were in school in Notre Dame in Ocap. So I was very generous. I was very generous. My stipend was like 900, so 300 for each.
That's good. That's good. Yeah.
Generous. And like somebody was like, "Yo, that's expensive." I was like, "No, it's not."
Yeah. Yeah. And you
And
mentioned
out of
something
that,
earlier.
no, go
Yeah, I
ahead.
can continue
No, I
because
was
I
gonna
was
say,
going back to something else.
no, I was gonna say out of that, they collected approximately 1,500 reviews, like participants to
Oh,
actually like that was a lot. It just
yeah.
imagine with that form of incentives.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. You mentioned something earlier, like partnering with someone from the community. And I think
Mhm,
it's really important. Even if, like, for example, if you go to Haiti, let's say you're doing a research in Haiti and your communities are Cap-Haïtien and you have a community in Nakai
mhm,
that you're recruiting, I mean, you're collecting data from, and you say, let's say you have Bourg-West. The thing is, for not because I'm just Haitian, I can go to a CAP and collect the data for you. You
so,
need someone who's from a CAP that can understand their own language. Because, for example, let's say a question has the word faire à repasser.
mhm,
A lot of people in OCAP say KO for faire à repasser.
mhm,
So you need someone who can understand that difference in the language.
mhm.
Kao in OCAP doesn't mean Kao in Okai doesn't mean faire repasser. Kao for us is like ceramic. So when you go to Okai and then you mention Kao, will bring you ceramic. But when you go to OCAP, you mention Kao, they will bring you the faire repasser, the iron. So there's that difference as well. So you really need someone from the local community that can understand the different way and different nuances in the language
Yeah,
so that they can help you collect the data. Even when they're not going to collect the data, they actually need to review your questions
exactly.
and make sure that they make sense to
Yep,
the people that you're going to collect the data from.
exactly. And
And
I
that is the beauty of research and data collection, actually.
Exactly. And I would say like,
Yeah.
with what it is that you do, as well as what
Mhm.
anyone does when it comes to data collection, is that we're also creating like a resources paper trail. So that comes the next generation, they understand that like, oh, the data has already been collected. Yes, it might be irrelevant now, but let me understand what people in 2025 or 2026 were thinking about this particular
Yeah.
topic. Maybe I
Exactly.
can build
Exactly.
on to it. Maybe I can innovate. Like there's something
Yeah.
that you can take away, because within our community, people are
Mhm.
very standoffish when it comes to providing just basic information or so. And probably because it's within our culture. Like we don't believe on sharing what we're going through, what struggles what we're going through. We like to keep everything to ourselves, or la familia, basically. And it's like we don't put our business out there. So it's like doing a
Yeah.
survey, like also understand that context, you will not have a good turnaround. And it's not because people are not interested. They're just like either they're afraid, or either they are just like, it doesn't really interest me. I don't get
Yeah.
anything out
Exactly.
of it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true.
Yeah. But I wanted to close here. Again, thank you, Cassange. You will obviously send me the presentation, and I will
Yeah, I
then
will.
share the recording with those that have registered for this session. And again, thank you. Our next session, we're going to skip the 28th of June, and our next session for iLearn Saturdays will be July 19th and July 26th.
Yes. And I think July 19th, we're going to talk about indicators, right?
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
I can triple
So
check.
thank you. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
So thank you. Thank you, everyone. We'll stay connected.
Awesome. Bye.
Bye.